And as well, like if Bitcoin ETF is approved, then we will see as well influx of institutional investors. And as well, FTX is quite known for probably a lot of your users are institutional investors. So like what's the percentage of institutional investors do you have on your platform, and what percentage of retail ones?
Sure. Yeah. So the volume breakdown is something like 60-40 institutional to retail. By users, it's much more like over 90% are retail. Of course, the average institution trading much more than the average retail person. In general, the kind of average trading volume, although I'm not going to give specific numbers here, per customer is higher on our platform than many of our leading competitors in the US. We found our niche much more as a platform for the more professional institutional type trader than the average retail person. Although, of course, we're trying to improve our retail experience to get more customers in and compete with those top players in the US.
Yes, as well regarding institutional investors, do you see the drop of their interest with this bear market, or is it still the same?
A lot of the volumes are down across the board. That's sort of natural when crypto is not moving much, for those volumes to be fairly depressed. But it is not yet that we've seen institutions say we're going to completely take all of our money off the platform and stop trading at all. Many of the kinds of firms that trade on FTX US are trading in both directions. They'll buy or sell happily, and they're market making, and so their job is to sort of be there on both sides at all times. And their volume is really a function of the market volume. So thankfully, we haven't seen a huge drop off in terms of the kind of interest and excitement. There's also lots of ongoing conversations still with firms that haven't yet entered crypto, who may be slowing down a little bit given the bear market, but also sort of see the opportunity to start building the right infrastructure so that when crypto does come kind of roaring back, they'll be ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And as well, FTX is on the mission to bank the unbanked. It's as well probably the way to attract more retail customers. And particularly, you launched income and banking inclusion program in US. So can you tell more about this?
Yeah, absolutely. And that program is very much not about trying to get more customers onto our exchange. That program is, what we learned as a financial services company is that the traditional financial rails are very cumbersome and difficult to interact with. And it can be surprisingly difficult and expensive to open and keep open a good bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas through much of FTX US, you can get services that emulate a lot of what you can get at a bank. You can deposit funds, you can use them to invest, you can have a FTX US debit card that allows you to spend your deposits at different places. And so for those members of our population who have a difficult time or who have an impossible time being able to open a bank account, that really prevents them from being able to sort of build wealth over time and kind of move up in their economic status. And so we're hoping that we can use a lot of the technology that we've built to provide a lot of these basic services. And not even talking about buying and selling Bitcoin or buying and selling stock, just being able to hold your money in a place and have like a basic, credit debit card type service would already be a great step up for a lot of people. And so we're launching a program in Chicago, working with a nonprofit here in the city that is providing income assistance to people who are returning citizens who have served their time and they're ready to reintegrate into society and need help getting back on their feet. And we're going to help provide a lot of the technology that will be able to give them these zero cost bank account type products.
Yes, it's really great to see such good initiatives. So you as well launched FTX Card too?
Yeah, so we have a card, which we're also planning on rolling out in Europe as well pretty soon. So that's also really exciting. And it's a great product because, again, if you can deposit money from your employer into FTX US and keep it there, or FTX and keep it there, you have multiple different kinds of investing services at your fingertips. On the international platform, you have things like staking, and then you can also have a card, and that really kind of wraps up the suite of financial services you could really ask for as a retail consumer, all in one vertically integrated platform. And that's, I think, what people are really looking for when they think about the next wave of super apps that they would want to be able to make part of their daily lives.
Yeah, that's quite a useful thing now. You don't have to exchange to your traditional bank account your crypto and just can spend it in with any merchant worldwide. And as well, you mentioned a few times your FTX NFT platform. Can you tell more about this and like what's happening with it now? We see quite a big drop on NFT
Yeah,
trading markets, like the news that OpenSea trading volume dropped like 99%. So what's with FTX NFT?
sure. So we built that platform primarily because we wanted to build out the backend technology required to be able to process NFTs. And that's because, again, we have a number of partnerships in the works with companies that want to integrate NFTs into their products. So an example might be a computer game that already exists, it has users. They would like to be able to have their kind of digital items as part of their games be NFTs, but they're not licensed players. They don't know necessarily, they're not experts in crypto technology, just like we're not experts in building video games. And so we can partner together to kind of bring those two things to life, NFTs and crypto technology into a game. And so the marketplace is really an opportunity for us to sort of learn about the industry, to understand NFTs, to build out all the technology, to understand consumer preferences, so we can kind of build for the longer vision of how NFTs might be used. It's much more important to us than sort of any sort of short-term kind of marketplace, goals in terms of trading volume or things like that.
So, do you have any partnerships with big brands for the placement of the NFTs or with any gaming companies?
Sure. Well, the gaming companies I can't mention right now because a lot of those are still sort of in the works. Some of the partnerships that we have on the endorsement side, we have done interesting things with NFTs with. So, for example, we partnered with Steph Curry, the obviously world famous basketball player, and his nonprofit to launch an NFT collection that commemorated him breaking the 3-point record. And all of the proceeds from those NFT sales went to his nonprofit. And we recently did an event where if you held some of the NFTs with a particular attribute, you got to go on a trip to California to go spend time with Steph, learning how to play basketball from him, volunteering for his charity. And that was a really fun, exciting experience that kind of married like the NFTs with sort of a real world experience. We also had a partnership with Coachella, where at the music festival, some of the Coachella NFTs were actually tickets to get into the festival. Some of them entitled you to have a free T-shirt. Some of them got you like a particular experience and sort of a home, on the festival property. And so that again was an interesting way for us to take NFTs, work with a partner to kind of bring them to life with a real world experience, which is pretty exciting new technology application.
Yeah, that sounds pretty exciting. And as well, FTX is quite known for quite big focus on impact projects and sustainability activities. And as well, you launched the FTX Climate, purchased carbon offsets, and as well, particularly your panel in Davos at World Economic Forum was around that. So can you share more details about this?
Yeah, sure. So we are asked frequently about what the energy usage of various cryptocurrency technologies mean for environmental sustainability. And for us, there's really sort of two questions. One is, what does the energy usage of crypto in particular mean for the environment? And then separately, is the energy usage itself, kind of forgetting about the environmental impact, sustainable? Should we be using as much energy as we are on crypto? So on the former, while a lot of, for example, Bitcoin energy usage, which is by far the highest energy usage blockchain, it does come from renewable sources. There are still, plenty of sources around the world where of energy where it's not clean, and so I think that we are trying to encourage, good sustainable practices for the Bitcoin industry to be able to move towards, better sources of energy that actually subsidize things like wind, solar, and other sorts of renewable energies. And on the energy usage side itself, we have been big proponents of new blockchains, new layer 1 blockchains, new layer 2 solutions that use substantially less energy than, for example, Bitcoin. So the Solana network, for example, one single transaction on the Solana network has the same energy usage as 2 Google searches of sending one email. And so that we have been encouraging our users to be able to, if they have a choice, to be able to use blockchains that support all the tokens that they understand and want to trade, and want to be able to pull into their own sort of non-custodial wallets, but to do so on blockchains that have much lower energy usage, much lower transaction costs, much higher throughput. And we think that's ultimately the future, is that Bitcoin is not going away, but that it, as more of a sort of store of value type product, will have sort of fewer transactions, its energy usage and will go down over time. And with transition to proof of stake for Ethereum and other of these sort of proof of stake blockchains that have much lower energy usage, that those will dominate and ultimately will result in far, far less energy usage than people are currently concerned about now.
Yeah, and as well, you mentioned the Ethereum transition to the proof of stake, and as well, what are your thoughts? Can it be the catalyst for the next bull market? And how do you generally see the current state of the market?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm definitely not going to try to predict the market. Based on these kinds of events, it's very difficult. I do think that people are very optimistic about this transition. People have been highly anticipating it for a long time. It really does change a lot of the economics around that blockchain. It is the most popular blockchain for applications to be written. Obviously, it's the first blockchain to bring smart contracts to life. And so I think that people are extremely excited about it, and maybe that does mean something about a kind of a wave of interest coming back into crypto after this bear market. But it's very difficult to predict. All sorts of things can happen between now and the merge happening.
So, like on your exchange, do you see like the biggest activity or around which coins do have the biggest trading volumes currently?
Yeah, on our exchange, it's Bitcoin, Ether, and Solana are almost always the top 3. But which one is the top on any given day has changed. We've seen Ether leading the volume on the exchange, many more days in the past, 6 months than in the previous 6 months. So retail interest in Ether has definitely increased over time. Again, a lot of that has to do with, yes, the general excitement around dApps, but also the specific excitement around the merge.
Okay, let's see. And as well, can you share the future plans for FTX? What's next for you?
Yeah, what's next? We're going to continue to grow our stocks product. Sometime in the future, we hope to get approval to allow stock options to trade on our platform as well. We're going to continue working constructively with the CFTC on our application for futures margin. And maybe by the end of the year, of course, it's impossible to predict, but at some hopefully time in the near future, be able to launch a Bitcoin and Ether futures product on FTX US. We're going to continue to make lots of little and large improvements to our retail trading experience on our web platform and also on our apps. We just released the big overhaul of the user interface for the Pro app, FTX US Pro, FTX Pro, continuing to make changes on the website. And so we're going to keep kind of working on our core competencies and try to improve the platform for our users as much as possible.
Okay, hope your proposal to CFTC will be approved, and as well hope to see more updates from FTX and the biggest success. Thank you for such interesting discussion.
Great, thank you so much for having me.